women who serve on the Boston City Council, each who is a history maker in their own right and is a first. And we celebrate each and every one of you. Again, this celebration was initiated by former District 4 City Councilor Charles Yancey many years ago, and we are glad to keep, and it is our honor and our duty to keep that tradition going. And we are ushering in a new tradition, and that is to hold space for the voice and the lived experiences of Black immigrants, which are all too often left out of the story of Black history. And this is especially timely with the backdrop at a time in our country when the person currently occupying the White House reflects a deep and fundamental misunderstanding of what it means to be American, of what it means to be an immigrant. Indeed, all or most of the immigrants I know possess a patriotism and a work ethic that is the embodiment of America and at times rivals that of our own president. Bravo. Bravo. While he advances divisive, racist, anti-immigrant rhetoric and policies too. In fact, just this week, he proposed the biggest cut to legal immigration since the 1920s. This plan will cut the number of Black immigrants to this country by 64%. It is staggering and devastating to consider this impact on our very culture, on our economy, on our civic life. Today, we affirm that Black history is American history. Albeit a complicated history, it is an undeniable and intersectional one. Albeit a struggle, it is indeed a beautiful one. And Black immigrants are integral to this history. Did you know that there are 3.7 million Black immigrants in the United States? And about 25% of the Boston population are immigrants from African and Caribbean countries. Is Haiti in the house? Haiti. Cape Verde. Nigeria. Jamaica. Indeed, the evidence is clear, significant.
Stop telling Brazil.
Oh, I did have Brazil on my list. I had Brazil. Trinidad and Tobago. Okay. Somalia. Okay, so the point is, the impact, the contributions, are all around us, not only in this chamber, but are felt in this city each and every day. Black immigrants enhance, enrich, and contribute in every way. Whether they are here in Boston seeking asylum as a dreamer, or have come here to receive an education, to be a caregiver, to work in public safety, to work in the office of an elected official, or indeed, even to run for elected office. Today's celebration is for you, the Black immigrant. We thank you for your contributions to our greatness, and moreover, for your contributions to the legacy of America. Thank you and welcome. Okay, and so due to a schedule mix-up, we do not have the pleasure of hearing the lovely voice of one Pastor Arlene Hall. For those of you who do not know her, she is one of our spiritual leaders. She is from Jamaica and the senior pastor of the Deliverance Temple Worship Center. She is a history maker in her own right, and she is also the first Black female president of the Black Ministerial Alliance. So we're hoping that she will make it here at some point in the program, but in her absence, we will do our best to set the tone for the rest of the evening and to say a prayer together, which will serve as our invocation. Does everyone have a copy of the prayer?
Yes. If not, share.
Okay. All right, and now we'll begin. Oh, no one here has it?
Coming around.
We thank you for your patience. Oh, okay, the mic is on. I'm sorry to keep yelling. I didn't realize. While we're doing that, I do want to acknowledge that our good colleague and friend, Councilor Matt O'Malley, District 6 City Councilor, has joined us. And I know we also have representation from Councilor Flynn's office. Are there any other offices that are represented? Okay, yes, and Councilor Michelle Wu's office. Suffolk County Sheriff Steve Tompkins. We also have representation from the Elizabeth Warren campaign. And here in the city of Boston, there are many folks here, so if you'll all stand, I do see our Chief of Health and Human Services, Marty Martinez, is here. I don't have my list, I lost my list.
Human Resources.
Yes, Human Resources, Natasha from Legal, everyone. Okay. All right, now I'll get in too much trouble. Okay. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. And because we're going to get to your resolution later. And we have representation here from Senator Forey's office and also from State Rep Dan Cullinane's offices. And we didn't forget about them. It's just that we will be honoring Senator Forey later for her service. And also Rep Cullinane has provided a citation for one of our honorees, which we will be sharing momentarily. Okay, is everyone ready to say the prayer? Does everyone have the prayer? Okay. All right. And so we'll just begin with blessed. All right. Blessed are you, Lord Jesus Christ. You crossed every border between divinity and humanity to make your home with us. Help us to welcome you in newcomers, migrants, and refugees. Blessed are you, God of all nations. You bless our land richly with goods of creation and with people made in your image. Help us to be good stewards and peacemakers who live as your children. Blessed are you, Holy Spirit. You work in the hearts of all to bring about harmony and goodwill. Strengthen us to welcome those from other lands, cultures, religions, that we may live in human solidarity and in hope. God of all people, grant us vision to see your presence in our midst, especially in our immigrant sisters and brothers. Give us courage to open the door to our neighbors and grace to build a society of justice. Amen. Okay, and so now I'll invite up my colleague and District 4 City Councilor and a history maker in her own right, the first woman of color to hold the District 4 seat, and the first Black female City Council President, Andrea Campbell.
Good evening. Okay, this is a celebration. Good evening. I do recognize it's the last day of the month, but we're still in February. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight in our beautiful chamber. And thank you to my sisters in service, Councilor Presley, Councilor Janey, and Councilor Edwards. This truly was a team effort, and it's important to acknowledge the members of your team at every occasion. So thank you, ladies. I have outside of welcoming you, the unique pleasure of acknowledging our sponsor organization. Brigham and Women's Hospital, believe it or not, actually sponsored this entire event. I was at a dinner by accident, actually, and I was talking about the theme for the Black History Month event being Black immigrants. And the president of the hospital was in the room and came up to me at the end and said, we are having these conversations with our patients, with our staff, with our nurses, with our community, and seeing what we can do to protect our immigrants, not just those who use the services of the hospital, but those who are part of that community, their employees, their workforce, their vendors, you name it. And so they said, how can we be a partner in this event? And believe it or not, I think this might be the first time that the council may have received a sponsorship of some form to sponsor an event. And so we had to talk to certain departments in the city to receive the funds for the council to be used by the council. So this is very exciting. And so I wanted to give an opportunity to one of the incredible employees of the hospital to come and say a few words to acknowledge the sponsorship, but also to acknowledge this incredible woman as she makes her way up, Wanda, for the work that she does. Wanda McLean is the Vice President for Community Health and Health Equity at the hospital. She's on the front lines talking about these issues every day, and when we talk about immigrants, we're definitely talking about equity. She gets it. So she's coming up to just say a couple of words on behalf of the President of the Brigham and Women's Hospital, as well as their incredible team there. So please welcome Wanda McLean.
Good evening, everyone, and I'm so thrilled to be here with you this evening on behalf of Brigham and Women's Hospital and Dr. Betsy Nabel, the president of Brigham and Women's Hospital. As you heard from president of the councilor, president of the council, I have to get this right, member Campbell. You know, we at the hospital have been committed to figuring out what our role can be to ensure that everyone feels safe when they come into the doors of the hospital, whether they are patients, whether they're employees, or other members of our community. The actions down in DC have affected all of us profoundly, and we want to be sure that we're on the front lines of being able to ensure that people have access to care, and when you enter our doors, that it is a place where you can feel safe and welcome. So we were thrilled and honored to be able to be a sponsor of this evening's event, and I'm particularly honored as the granddaughter of an immigrant, and so this is particularly special for me to celebrate with all of you the role of Black immigrants in our city and in our country. And I say I look forward to working with the City Council, and the Brigham looks forward to working with the City Council to continue to promote and advance diversity and inclusion, social justice, and equity for all Bostonians and all immigrants. Thank you so much.
Before our council president comes back to the podium to formally introduce our incredibly talented artists, just a couple of more acknowledgments. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge our partners in this work that are protecting and advancing the rights of immigrants every day. I know the Irish International Immigration Center is with us. I know we can clap for them. I know Mira. I know Mira is here, the Haitian Chamber of Commerce. Okay, thank you. President Campbell?
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Presley. At this time, we have, first of all, have you been enjoying the music? Yes. Okay. Okay. Again, a celebration. Have you been enjoying the music? The music tonight is provided by incredible musicians, and I, as a daughter of a musician, always know the importance of celebrating our musicians, but allowing them also to say a few words. So I want to invite up Sean Skeet, who is a Black immigrant from Trinidad and Tobago. And he, yes. And he is the interim chair of the ensemble department at Berklee College of Music. And when I reached out to him, I said, we want drums, we want music. We all agreed on that. And he has brought an incredible, a talented group of musicians with him. So I want to give him an opportunity to quickly say their names, the instrument they're playing, but also the fact that each of them comes from another country and is a Black immigrant. So let's celebrate them tonight.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Nice to see you. So again, my name is Sean Skeet. I'm so happy to be here serving you all and playing some music from you all. So I'm from Trinidad, but I'm actually from the Wakandan part, so I just wanted to acknowledge that. And I brought a group of Wakandans with me to play some wonderful music. So let me just introduce my friends. We all have an affiliation with my alma mater, Berklee College of Music. And to my right, also from Trinidad and Tobago, plays steel pan, Marcus Prince. Also to my right, from the other part of Wakanda, Oakland, California, also Berklee student, soon to graduate, Miss Brianna Washington. And a longtime friend of mine from way, way, way back, from a little bit down south of here on percussion, Mr. Ricardo Monzon from Guatemala. Then my really, really, really long time, way, way back friend, okay, not too way back, but sorry, Ron. Also a professor at Berklee and a phenomenal bass player, writer, arranger, colleague of mine, Mr. Honoree from Trinidad. So we're going to do what I enjoy doing the most in life, other than being with my family, is share some music with you all, if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's sort of supposed to give it back to me. All right.
So we're going to have a musical selection from Sean and the incredible musicians from Berklee College of Music. is all about. You know, our young people, the spirit in them, the joy in them, ensuring that that maintains through their life, right, until they reach their God-given potential. So thank you, Sean. Thank you to the crew from Berklee College of Music. Thank you again. You got tears back here, just tears flowing. So now I have the unique and just awesome pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for the night, Marie St. Fleur. If I can invite you just to come up here. And while Marie is coming up, I want to also acknowledge Councillor Flynn has joined us. Thank you for being here. I also, while Marie is making her way up, want to acknowledge and thank the incredible team and staff that work with us. These events do not happen without incredible support that we get from our team. So thank you to our team members. Thank you also to Central staff, and Carrie in particular in the back, who's making sure these mics and this equipment is working. So thank you, Carrie and Central staff. But thank you to our incredible team. You all know Marie. She is a woman who is an advocate, a leader, a strong voice for immigrants and communities of color, and a dedicated public servant here in our city. She immigrated from Haiti as a child and attended the University of Massachusetts Amherst and Boston College Law School. She began practicing law in 1987. She's young and fabulous. In 1999, she went on to represent the 5th Suffolk District in the Massachusetts House of Representatives and served as the vice chair of the House Ways and Means Committee. This historic victory made Marie the first Haitian immigrant to ever hold public office in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. She proudly served that district for 12 years. With all of the negative political rhetoric directed at immigrants by our lawmakers in Washington, D.C., by even some of our own community members and neighbors in our own communities, it's important now more than ever that we support our immigrant communities here at home, and that we do so not from just a reactive space, but from a proactive space. We have a unique opportunity to come together with leaders like Marie to listen to them, to get thoughts and ideas about how we support these communities, these rich communities that contribute to our city every single day. And Marie is an inspiration not just to folks who identify as immigrants or those in the immigrant community, but to every single woman who has ever sought political office in the Commonwealth. So I personally thank you for supporting me. And I thank you on behalf of my colleagues on the council, as well as the young girls who aspire to run for office someday. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being here tonight. And please stand up and applaud our keynote speaker, Marie St. Fleur.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm only going to take a little bit of your time. But I want you guys to put your hands together. This is a historic moment. We are standing here today, the last day of February 2018, 4 black women elected to the city council of the great city of Boston. Come on, ladies. So, Representative Kim Janey, my city councilor, Representative Ayanna Presley, my friend and sister, the president of the city council, Andrea Campbell, all right? And where's Ms. Lydia Edwards? East Boston, girl. That's right, East Boston, all right? And you know what's so wonderful about this? I'm standing here with a young woman who I knew years ago. Her name is Linda Forey, who is the former senator of the great state of Massachusetts. But also, with two friends. Come on, give it up for Linda. Two friends of the council. Mr. Flynn, it's good to see you again. Yeah, you know, and you know how his father served, and Mr. O'Malley, you know, and many whom we've walked with in different lives, and we're so glad you're here, and thank you for being here on this last day to celebrate with us. You know, I'm gonna try to be brief, and I gotta say hello to my daughter, because I finally got her to come out for something. Hey, Bree! Hey, Bree. And I'm so delighted to be here. Now, as you notice, I've gotten older, so I'm gonna be taking these glasses on and off, and I'm gonna try to hold it to the 7 minutes, but whatever that I give you, I hope you'll listen, all right? And I wanna, first of all, congratulate all the awardees. I know I recognize Senator, but I want to recognize everyone who's getting an award today for your service and for the amazing work that you're doing. Okay, for the amazing work. I want to tell you something. Black immigrants are not new to Boston. We have been here. We have served. We have helped build this place, and in our tears, our joys, and all that we are very much ingrained in the spirit of Boston. So I never feel any qualms about telling anybody I belong. And that little girl who just stood there and danced with you, she belongs. She belongs. And we all should feel that way everywhere and anywhere in this great city of ours. So I'm going to take us back. See, I didn't grow up when there's a large Haitian community. I grew up with actually very little Haitian community. But I want you to understand why this day is so critical. And I'm going to really use the words of a gentleman. Some of you might have heard. I'm going to use his name often today for this brief moment. John Henrik Clark. African-American from the South, Pan-Africanist. He said, history is not everything, but it is a starting point. History is a clock that people use to tell their political and cultural time of day. It is a compass they use to find themselves on the map of human geography. It tells them where they are, but most importantly, what they must be. And in this moment in time, it is so clear that we as Black people, not simply immigrants, understand what we must be here in the city of Boston. So, we're going to do a quick reminiscence in the quick time I have to talk about that history. Then we're going to take stock a little bit about where we are, and then we're going to do real quickly, just touch on where we must be. Let me tell you, 1638, the slave ships were directed from Newberry Street, all right? They sat as they were figuring out where to send the cotton, where to send the sugar. They were trying to figure out where to send the Africans from the continent. Those ships, many of them left here, right there, South Boston, some of them, and took off to Barbados, and took off to Jamaica, and other places. And they came in contact with many Africans. One of those ships came back with a young woman named Phyllis Wheatley, who we believe was from West Africa, right? And you don't know about Phyllis Wheatley, then shame on you and go figure it out, because you should. One of those ships also brought back a gentleman named Prince. Everybody ever been to Prince Hall? That amazing Mason, that West Indian, who was the first Black Mason, established the first lodge right here in this country, right here in this great city of Boston. That's only in the 1600s. Fast forward the 1900s, large contingent of Africans came. They were from Barbados. They were from the British Islands. They were from Barbados. They were from Jamaica. They were from Antigua. They were from the British Isles, and they came and they settled here. Remember, you all ever heard about this fruit company? I mean, some of you all, right? Anybody ever heard of them? Yes. So those ships would come back and forth. And guess who would be working in the bows of those ships? Those Africans from those parts of the world. Some of them came here and disappeared here, and some of them came here to stay. And back in those days, they would come in as domestics or skilled labor. You know what some of those skilled laborers were? They were seamstress. They were cooks. They came, and they established life here. You know that place called the West End? You know where now? Charles Street Jail, Mass General. Guess where most blacks were living way back when? 60% of blacks in the city of Boston lived in the West End. That's right. And you know, they produced some amazing people. And by the time, by the way, you had an influx, the so-called the blacks that were born here. You had the blacks that came up from the South. And then there were those of us who were immigrants. And we created a stir in the city of Boston. Okay? I'm going to skip forward. By 1920, there were at least 5,000 black immigrants living in the city of Boston. And in that period, 1900 to 1950, those black immigrants produced some amazing people, and I'm going to list them real quickly. So everybody want to say, the person you might be sitting with, you say, oh, she's African American, she's this, no, we're all connected. And we need to stop the nonsense. Stop the nonsense. So, I want to talk to you all about some names you might have heard about. Have you ever heard of a woman named Elma Lewis? Yeah, I'm not going to have to tell you no more. Second generation Barbadian. That's who she is. Have you ever heard, born in 1921, parents immigrated from Barbados. They came here, made a life for each other, and she changed the culture, right, of Boston. And we all, as black folks in Boston, celebrate the gift that she has given to the city, and we continue to do that in song and music and dance and pure intellect, because she did not play. If anybody ever met Miss Lewis, you would not expect not to excel. There was no acceptance of black folks not excelling. She would not have it, and she'd tell you right out. And that's the spirit that we need to recapture. But let's keep moving. Anybody heard Victor Bino? Has anybody heard of the Binos? Okay, the Bino family? Yes. Second generation. You know, when they say second generation in the census, if your parents came here and immigrated and became naturalized, you're born here, your first generation, okay? Or your first generation if they naturalized you. First generation, Bino. And guess what? He became one of the first black commissioners right here in the great city of Boston. African American, black immigrant, contributed to the wealth and to who we are today and our ability to be here in this room. Let me keep going. Y'all ever heard of a firebrand named Ruth Batson? Born in 1921. Have you ever heard of the Garveyites? Well, in Boston was a strong contingent of Garveyites. And they were all from St. Cyprian's. There was something about St. Cyprian's that bred that, because those British immigrants celebrated who they were. They embraced their history. They embraced their arrogance. It's all right to be arrogant as long as I'm not rude. I can love who I am without insulting you. You don't like my arrogance? Too bad. Too bad. Because, you know, her mama, her grandmama, and her great-grandmama, who probably told her she was somebody, and she wasn't waiting for anybody to tell her who she was. She knew, and she came here and told these young children there was somebody. Amen. You know what Ruth did? So if y'all talk about the first federation of teachers, black teachers, she established that. When you hear about the NAACP and the Education Committee of the NAACP, talk about Ruth Batson. When you talk about who came and rocked this place because she wanted to be on the school committee and they wouldn't let a black person in. By the way, we did before Reconstruction. After Reconstruction, we had a black person. From Reconstruction to 1960, when O'Brien was elected, no other black person served. But because Ruth in 1951 took it to the streets and she said, I'm running, you got a problem with it? Too bad. She did. And as a result of that, doors opened. And guess who came out and followed after that? Mel King ran. John D. O'Brien ran. And guess what happened when John D. O'Brien? I remember John D. O'Brien. You know what happened when he ran? He won. And guess what? He became head of the school committee, right? How many of us remember some of that? Okay? That was that woman from Barbadian immigrants. And then there was this gentleman. I keep looking at one because you know what? I was just getting out of high school. Just out of high school when his daddy decided to run for mayor. And there was another gentleman who ran for mayor that year. His name was Melvin King. You know, born in 1928, parents immigrated from Barbados. Father organized the longshoremen on South Boston's waterfront. King served 5 terms as state representative in Lower Roxbury, first black man to win a primary, gathering 30% of the vote and 90% of the black vote. He did not win, but he made a statement that year, because I remember coming out of high school, because see, I'm a kid of busing, right? And it told us that we belong too. And sometimes it's about letting us know that we belong too. And the only one who could tell us that is us. And he did that for us in this city. And he's still doing it for us in this city. Yes, Melvin King. Melvin King. Then there's another gentleman that I'm very close to, another immigrant. I'm gonna name Judge Nelson. Anybody remember David Nelson? Now, I feel particularly close to Judge Nelson, born in 1933, parents from Jamaica. Yeah, you see a theme here? We've been here. We've contributed. Judge Nelson, the first black federal judge appointed to the federal judge here in the state of Massachusetts. Judge Nelson, who the Catholic schools would not let in, but graduated from Boston College Law School and Boston College. I could attest to that because I had similar experiences, but I graduated from Boston College Law School. That's right. Judge David Nelson, and then became one of the most famous justices, and by the way, the first black man to serve on the Board of Trustees of Boston College. That was that immigrant heritage talking to you. We belong, and nobody can tell us any different, not some president. No. And many have paid the dues so we could sit here today. Do not waste their gift. Do not waste their gift. Do not waste their gift. Okay? So, there's some of us who came after. And I gotta let you go. Let me tell you something. Some of us came after the 1900s. Those who came in 1965 contributed as well. And don't forget Ken Guscott. Go down Blue Hill Avenue, Robina Scott. We could go on, but those were the domestics who came. They weren't domestics necessarily in their country. Don't get it twisted. Just because somebody come here and start cleaning some bathrooms and don't mean that's where they came from. It means they did what they had to do. It means they did what they had to do. They did what they had to do so I could be that lawyer, so you could be that engineer, so you could be that doctor. They decided they could sacrifice. Nothing comes easy. But the other thing they told us is freedom comes from here, not what somebody tells you. I own my freedom. I own my freedom, and we need to tell our kids to own theirs. Don't try to tell me Boston Public Schools are supposed to teach your children to be free. You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to teach your children about this history. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. And you're supposed to teach them to be free. If my kids tell me they can't do something, that makes me upset. Right, Bree? Don't talk to me about what you can't do. And I always say, if your grandfather could come here, leave all the things he did, come wash dishes, don't speak the language, take all the bullshit, and you tell me you can't do this, why not? No, we need to stop it. That's what immigrants, that's the spirit that immigrants bring. And we need to embrace it. Don't walk away from it. Do not walk away from it, because it is a gift that we bring. It is a gift that we bring. 28% of the population of the city of Boston are immigrants. We come from everywhere. Everybody talks about Africa. Africa's a continent. It's not a country. Okay? There's different languages. There's different languages, different cultures, different tribes. Just like Europe. Not everybody from Europe is Irish. So let's stop the nonsense and celebrate the diversity that we are as people of Black African descent. That's it. You know, and I'm gonna leave you this. To control a people, you must first control what they think about themselves, how they regard their history and culture. And when you conquerors make you ashamed of your culture and your history, he needs no prison and no chains to hold you. He needs no prison and no chains to hold you. Why are we so ashamed to admit where we're from? I am Haitian American. I celebrate that. I can step next to and embrace my brothers and sisters who came from the South, who consider themselves Brahmin blacks, who consider themselves Jamaican, who consider themselves Antiguan, who consider themselves Sudanese, who Ethiopian. I can embrace you. I want you to embrace who you are. By the way, I don't like every Haitian. I don't. What's the problem? Stop the nonsense. Let's be real. Let's be real. Stop telling ourselves falsehoods that separate us from doing what we need to do. The bottom line is, our children need a good education. I don't care where you walk from and what you look like, they need a good education. The bottom line is, they need good jobs. And the bottom line is, they need to be secure in their schools, and if we don't advocate for them, it won't happen. And we collectively, black, white, green, yellow, can do that together. But here's where we bond, people of African descent. We bond in the fact that we are connected by the experience of the Middle Passage. By the echoes and screams of those who wailed and we lost in the depths of oceans between here and the so-called New World. That's our bond. And we should never forget it. And we shouldn't pretend it didn't happen. But it should not be a block. We shouldn't use it as a crutch. In this country, it was built on there's a structural racism that exists. I'm not gonna walk away from that. I learned that as a kid real quickly. Yes, I did. But you can't let that guide everything you do, because what it's done is it blocks us from realizing the dreams that our ancestors fought so hard for us to realize. So I'm gonna leave you with this. Today, they try to say you can't come. They did the same thing in the 1900s. It's not the first time we locked the doors, whether it be on the Japanese, whether it be on the Chinese, but we put some in internment camps, and the Chinese, by the way, couldn't even get citizenship. So all this to say, it's not right, but don't be discouraged. Because what you do is you fight, and you continue to be vocal, and you continue to link arms with those who will work with you. Nothing happens on its own. It happens because we all pull together. And we always have collaborators. There's nothing that's happened for black people where other people didn't link arms with us. So I don't walk away from any of the brothers and sisters who want to work with me on anything. And by the way, the petty jealousies and the petty, it happens. I mean, I'm sorry, who's a kid who's of immigrant descent who didn't have problems in school? By the way, I was Frenchy. But you know this good English I'm speaking now? Didn't quite speak it in 1969. No. But I had to learn the King's English. Now come talk to me. Okay? I could speak it, I could write it. And that's what you need to do. Right? And once we do that, we do what we need to do to make certain that our children stand on our shoulders and move forward. We can't dig a grave and drive ourselves down and don't leave them any further along. We can't do that. So I beg you, stop the nonsense, black people. It's time for us to realize what we must be. And if in 1900s too many of us were undereducated, too many of us under unemployed, too many of us not in government, too many of us not on jobs, and today in 2018, we're still singing the same damn song, then stop it. Let's pull together. Let's pull together. I don't have to like you to work with you. Stop the nonsense. I don't. But I do have a vision of where I want to go and what I want to see. And now it's about my progeny, your progeny. It's not about you anymore. You've had your turn. This is what we did. This is what we've delivered. It's about the future of our children and our grandchildren. So please, come together and let's get this done. Every form of true education trains the student to thrive. If it doesn't train you to thrive and does not train you to be self-reliant, you need to stop paying attention to it, because then it enslaves you. Enslavement is not simply about being locked up in chains. Nelson Mandela taught us that. And really freedom happens here. So, when we leave here today, if you're from Jamaica, if you're from Alabama, if you're from Haiti, wherever you're from, make sure you talk to somebody from someplace else. Because we need to know each other. Because as long as you make somebody the other, you can then not have to deal with them and their pain. So we are not the other here. Collectively in the city of Boston, we have the opportunity to move forward just like every other group that came. It is time. Let's make it happen. We are the dream and the hope of the slaves. Let's rise, let's rise, let's rise. Thank you. So thank you so much, Marie. And let's give it up again for Marie St. Fleur. I want to acknowledge that we have been joined by my colleague, Josh Zakem. Please give it up for him. Oh, Jesus. Ooh. My live Facebook video, excuse me. So thank you all for being here. Before beginning, I just want to say thank you again for to my colleagues, my sisters in service, Ayanna Presley. Thank you so much for your leadership in really spearheading this event. To Council President Campbell and to Councilor Edwards. Give them all a round of applause, please. So many folks have made mention of the history that we have made here on this council, and that is important and that is special. But what we all know is that history, particularly black history, happens every day. Yes, this is February 28th, it's the last day, but every single day is black history. And black history is American history. In terms of my own experience, you know, people know I have deep roots right here in Boston, 6 generations in Roxbury in particular. My people come from the South, but what I know to be true is that we are all connected. I have always known that my struggle is your struggle is my struggle, and that we rise and fall together, and I am because we are. And so as Marie encouraged us and demanded of us, please stop the nonsense. We have work to do, people. And so we are here today. We heard of Mel King, we heard of the Gus Scotts, Ruth Batson, all of these folks who have made amazing contributions to our community here in Boston. And that has been amazing, and we celebrate them, and we stand on their shoulders. But we make history every day, and we've got incredible people right here in our community who are doing good work. They are doctors, they are activists, they are leading the way in their community, and we are here to celebrate them tonight. So I am just so honored to stand before you, and before taking my seat, I just encourage you to look around in this room. Look at the power in this room. We come from every place on the planet, but we are connected. We are brothers and sisters, and it is power. We have power in this room. And so, as you said, we have to get busy and get to work in our community. And so without further ado, who's doing the first award? Our council president.
Can we give Councilor Janey a round of applause?
Our council president.
So now, to move the program along, we're going to honor five incredible members of our community. And the 4 counselors each picked an individual they wanted to honor tonight. And let me tell you, we could have picked many people. This was tough, but we said we'd do 2 things. We'd pick one person, we'd keep our own remarks very short, and we'd give some time and space for the honoree to say a few words. So I would like to invite up my special honoree, and one of, I think, just a special human being who does some incredible work in Codman Square, who looks stunning this evening, Yvette Modestine. And while Yvette is coming up, I think we did acknowledge that Councilor Zakem has also joined us, so thank you, Councilor Zakem. So I'm going to be short and sweet. Yvette comes from Colón, Panama. She is a poet, she is a writer, she is an activist, she is a leader for the Afro-Latino community here in Boston. I actually met Yvette when she was advocating for policies related to affordable housing, including the Just Cause Eviction and Jim Brooks Stabilization Act. She is active as an organizer at the Codman Square Neighborhood Development Corporation, which is in my district. But outside of that space, that's just her job. She was always in community organizing, and that's where the power comes from, organizing folks from across every part of the diaspora. We've honored her before at the council, but I thought it was very apropos to honor her tonight as a Black immigrant for incredible work in this community and for her contributions to the city of Boston and to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Yvette Modestine.
Evening, everyone. Greetings. Buenas. Honoring the ancestors whose shoulders I stand on and those who guide and protect me on this journey, I want to give thanks to the Councilor Campbell for thinking of me, to Councilor Presley, Janey, and Edwards. Queens, I wish you well. I wish you well. I want to thank the many familiar faces that are in this space that I have seen through my years in Boston. Gracias por este honor y por reconocer la voz del afrodescendiente, el africano, de Latinoamérica y el Caribe. I walk with a tribe of kings and queens who rise up every day speaking their truth. I accept this award on behalf of the courageous 150 million plus of us from Latin America and the Caribbean. W.E.B. Du Bois speaks of double consciousness. It is important for us to know who we are as immigrants But it's most important for us to know that when we walk in the streets of Boston, that we are Black people, people of color who seek a common agenda for the liberation of all. Afro-descendants, Africans from Latin America and the Spanish-speaking Caribbean are an intricate part of Boston's tapestry. May our voices be included in the narrative of the Black immigrant in this state and in this country. May our hard work, dedication be seen as a crucial part of Boston's development in seeking equity and inclusion of all. Equity and inclusion of all. Every day is Black history. Every day we rise and we say, I'm Black, I'm proud, and yes, I'm Panamanian. Hoy me presento orgullosamente negra, panameña, inmigrante. Gracias. Thank you.
We have to mark these occasions. And at this time, we're going to continue. Councilor Presley will do the next presentation.
So how many people here have seen Black Panther? I had a realization while I was sitting there listening to the truth-telling and the powerful words of Maurice St. Fleur. Wakanda does not have to be a fantasy. It is something that we can live every day. We are just as excellent, but we need that unity. And I'm also reminded, as you talk about those who've come before us, that sometimes when you inherit something, and something as profound as a freedom, you know, it's like when you're a beneficiary of something, because you didn't work for it, you don't always treat it with care. And so, thank you for reminding us that we are the beneficiaries of freedom and of excellence and of pride, and we need to walk in that every day. And so as I transition, the words of James Baldwin ring true, that your crown has already been bought and paid for. All you have to do is put it on your head. Your crown has already been bought and paid for. All you have to do is put it on your head. And so with that in mind, this evening I would like to salute and to recognize and to celebrate a king amongst us who is wearing that crown ably every day, Dr. Jean Bonnet. And you see, and look, and you know how he walks, and all of you who know, he is such a humble man, a humble and great man, a Haitian physician whose private practice has thrived in Mattapan for over 20 years. His cultural practice of medicine has been replicated in Milton and Kearney hospitals. And not only that, he has been asked to lead on partner on various multicultural initiatives. While cardiovascular disease and diabetes are his main focus, Dr. Bonet is also co-owner of MCTV, that's the multicultural television channel 283 on Comcast, and his mission is to educate and to empower the community. Dr. Bonet provides a platform for physicians, community members, and leaders to bring awareness and education to underserved ethnic communities. And might I add, although it is challenging to practice this myself every day, but our health is our greatest wealth. And for all of the rights that we're looking to preserve and the ways that we're looking to advance and address disparities, quality in education and housing that is affordable and jobs that pay a living wage and all of those things, if you aren't healthy, you can't pursue all those things that we're fighting to advance and to deliver to you. So as a people, our health is our greatest wealth, and Mattapan has one of the highest concentration of health disparities in our city. Dr. Bonet has lived and worked in the Boston area for nearly 3 decades, serving the residents in Mattapan as a family physician, focused primarily on diseases of the heart and, as I said, also diabetes, and he has been intentional. He made it a point to open his practice in the heart of the community, La Foyer, and not too far from St. Angela Mercy Church, and other Haitian restaurants and services in the heart of the Haitian community. He was intentional about that. Dr. Bonet is a foundational member of the community. If you're Haitian in Boston, I have no doubt you have a family member, a close friend, who has visited this clinic. Raise your hand if you have received care, someone in your family, by Dr. Bonet. What an incredible legacy. This extraordinary man, this hero in our community, again, he has been so intentional about this work and making sure that those who come here and are struggling due to language and cultural barriers to access health care, to navigate this very complicated system, and are just seeking to be in the company of someone and something that is familiar. And Dr. Bonet has provided that. He is someone who has never forgotten his roots. He lives and practices his values. He is a role model and an inspiration, and it is an honor to recognize him this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Apparently, the council has already said it all. First of all, allowed me to really give thanks to my great Lord, who allowed me, helped me to carry that journey, to make that journey. He never left me alone. He always supported me. Glory to God. Yeah. When I received the call regarding this award, I was feeling, I don't have no human word inside to say, knowing who you are, your passion, also for the community, I really flattered. And again, I got no word to say thank you.
Oh, you're so deserving. It's our honor.
Talking about this award, I cannot prevent me to go back to that journey where I never been alone. I had some physicians in the community, social workers, I could name them forever, at the Haitian Multi-Service Center, like Monestim, physicians like Georgette Gentil, Nicole Prudent, Dr. Jean-Louis. We never stop days, week, or weekend just to work on the behalf of the community. I salute them. For those of you who engage in public community health, community issues, you know somebody has to pay the price. Allowed me to thank my family. Well, right here. And yes, please.
Can the whole family please come up? Well, honestly, we'd like to include all of you.
Ed, come here. because too often I rob them their time, good family time, to do community things. And if I could do them, it's because I received their support. And one person who really pays the price is my lovely wife. Today, I heard it from Marie. I heard it from you. Last day of Black History Month, but Black History Month is every day. Yeah. But let me ask you the same question. Does history matter? If we don't take that responsibility, we should ask, does history matter? I could hear how Marie really vehiculated over chronologically an history before we get here. And I could tell you, on July 4th, 1776, the Bell of Freedom rang in Philadelphia. But was it for us? No, it wasn't for us. And July 14, 1789, he rang again at Bastille. Was it for us? No. And Frederick Douglass understood that, and he said, until Haiti spoke. Until Haiti spoke. That's a reality. Before Haiti spoke, we were things. But after Haiti spoke, we become human beings. Yes, sir. 1804 humanizes. Our ancestors dug up the tunnel of slavery to construct the highway of freedom. Freedom for everyone, not only for Haitians. We know what's happening in Central South America. We know where we go to. It's not only Venezuela. It's not only Colombia, Mexico, everybody. This is what Haiti is about. And we cannot talk about democracy without freedom. So we are the soul of that democracy. So we get here today. It took us La Crête à Pierrot. It took us Vertières. It took us Bloody Sunday to get here today. Just to tell you, no price is too high for to pay for freedom. Yes, no price is too high to pay for freedom. And we have the moral responsibility to keep freedom alive. We have that moral responsibility, whatever it takes. And that freedom doesn't have color. Freedom doesn't have race. Freedom is a common denominator of mankind. And the great Lord who created us, he gives us freedom. So no one is allowed to take freedom out of us. And as you say, Mary, freedom is not a physical thing. Freedom is economic. Freedom is mental. So we have to fight every day. Every day. All the beings which allowed us to get there, education and all those things, we need to have. Don't let anybody say, no, we cannot do it. It's our responsibility of the family to move forward. So once again, keep freedom alive. Part of freedom, before I step out, we are lucky. We are living in probably one of the greatest states of the Union. People live everywhere to come, not only being the maker of medicine, but the ability, access to get served is way more easier than other states. But regardless, we still got a long way to go. Health disparity is a real issue. Health inequity is a real issue here in that great state where all other people come to get health. And remember, your health is your wealth. If you don't get it, what is it? Most likely, I'm talking about immigrant and minority health. They are living here, but they're not in the mainland. They're living in an island without bridge connecting to the mainland. So we have, and I was happy to hear that Brigham and Women's really sponsored this event. That means they understand the value of it. But it's multifaceted, it's complex, but it's up to us to work together from all different creeds, really to make that a reality. Once again, I will be looking forward to work with you to make that a reality. Thank you.
We do. So, again, as is apparent, the doctor is very deserving of this recognition, and we are not alone in having wanted to honor him. We also have a citation from State Representative Dan Cullinane. So Leon will just present that very quickly, and then we'll do a photo op.
Good evening, everyone, Madam President, and councilmen and women of the great city of Boston. My name is Leon David. It is an honor to be here with everyone tonight. I'm here to present a citation on behalf of the Office of State Representative Dan Cullinane. Dr. Bonet, who has mentored me as a younger person, working on a lot of issues, health-related, as well as the American Haitian Federation. I especially feel, as a young Haitian man, privileged to present this citation to Dr. Bonet, and I stand on your shoulders as we continue and accept the baton moving forward. Thank you. So, I just want to read the language really quickly. Dr. Jean Saint-Fort Bonet, in recognition of 30 years of service to the City of Boston and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, providing healthcare services in diabetes, COPD, HIV, cardiovascular disease, and other health disparities, given this 28th day of February 2018, signed by Speaker of the House Robert A. DeLeo and State Representative Dan Cullinane, we want to say to you, we love you, and we look forward to continued working with you, and your service to the community. Count on us as continued partners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you all for bearing with us. We're going to move through. And now our next honoree, Councilor Edwards, will introduce. We love saying that. Councilor Lydia Edwards. Sounds good, feels good.
Good evening, everyone. Boa noite a todos. So seriously, we're going to talk about black immigrants and not talk about Brazil, the country with the largest black population outside of the continent of Africa. So that's why I am here. I am an honorary Brazilian, I think, at this point, and I'm actually, well, my husband, I'm actually, well, married to a Brazilian, so maybe legally and by honor. But I am so proud of the woman I'm about to introduce because of the work that she's done and because of the country that she's come from and the journey that she's been on, that so many of us have traversed and have had to make sure that our children, many of us fight to make sure our children have it easier for us. See, I met Dr. Natalicia Tracy. Yes, 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 yes. I met her in 2010 on my own journey, having been laid off from a large law firm, not wondering what I'm going to do. But incredibly inspired by Natalicia, I knew where I belonged, and that was in the fight for immigrant justice and workers' rights. Natalicia came here when she was 17. She came here on what should have been a dream opportunity to be able to earn some money, to be able to help her family in Brazil, and it turned into a nightmare. She is what a lot of us call today a survivor of human trafficking. Now, you imagine coming here being alone, being scared, and not speaking a word of English, and having no family. Unlike a lot of immigrants who could come to a community or come to a church, Natalicia was by herself. But see, she didn't just come here and suffer the consequences. In fact, Natalicia came here and ultimately conquered. To go from being 17 alone and teaching yourself English with a handheld radio, and that's how she learned it, to being a doctor, professor, teaching labor studies, teaching about sociology, human services, race, power, and immigration in the United States. That's the immigrant story. That's the reason why when she said, I'm going to save and continue the work of the Brazilian Immigrant Center, now the Brazilian Worker Center, in 2010, and she said, who's going to be with me and by my side? Myself and several members of the Brazilian immigrant community stood up and said, we're right behind you. And it was my honor to work for her for 4 years. It was my honor. I am going to turn this shortly over to Dr. Tracy. To talk a little bit more, but I wanted to also acknowledge her family in the room. Her sister, Lanita, who's holding the camera. Lanita has been there since day one, oftentimes working for free, silently, quietly, the backbone in many cases for a lot of the movements. And the movement that, of course, I learned and cut my teeth on, the domestic worker movement, no surprise that Natalicia is one of the leaders. No surprise at all. And talk about connection. The first version of the Domestic Worker Bill of Rights that ultimately we got passed here in 2014, the very first version was actually constructed and passed and pushed for by Ms. Melania Cass. Black woman here from Boston. So I'm incredibly proud and honored to invite Natalicia up here to come say some words. And Lanita, it would be my honor if you would join us up here, because there were many a night in the Brazilian Immigrant Center when it was just the three of us, if you recall. So I'd love for you to come up here as I'm succeeding and rising, we rise together. So please come on, Lanita. All right, here you go, Dr. Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'll wait for Anita to arrive here. As Council Edwards said, you know, we work together, and we prayed together when we had nothing but each other in a dream, and we worked together to rise and to through our struggles together. I'm very honored to be standing here today, and this is an amazing day because finally our political representation starts to look like us, the members of the city. Right? I would like to congratulate all the winners in our recent citywide election cycle. We are so proud of all of you, and we're inspired by you. Thank you for being here. As immigrant of color, African descent, representative of the Brazilian community in Boston, we are honored to be included in this commemoration of centuries of historical contribution and achievements of Black Americans, especially the dedicated struggles in fight for equal rights. We who have come later truly stand on their shoulders and benefit much from the long, sometimes hard pathway they have forged in America in the search for freedom. These Black historical achievements have been still important today in helping us to combat the social and economic barriers that continue to exist in Boston. I also want to say that it is really important that we, community of color, stand together because our immigrant history, but also being immigrant of color here in the U.S. means that our children tomorrow become African American. They don't become American, they become African American. And with that, all the baggage that come with. So we have to be tougher, we have to be stronger, and we have to work together. Thank you so much. I want to thank you again, Council Edwards. We're very proud of her and her achievements. And I want to thank my sister because we couldn't do it alone. We do it together. Thank you. So we'll go up and take a picture. Let's do it.
So I have the great pleasure and honor of recognizing an amazing woman who lives in Roxbury, in the community that I grew up in. Her name is Diko Jabril. Diko. She was born in Somalia. She is an entrepreneur, a humanitarian, and an ardent activist of social justice. And being a single mother of 4 children, she exemplifies a new generation of African women, and her strength of character set a uniquely valuable model for women of African origin to emulate. And I would add that while it's so important for little Black girls, particularly African girls, to see you, Diko, it is equally important for our little boys to see the work that you are doing in our community. So a year ago today, we were 38 days into a new administration. And we were discussing, or what was coming out of, the vial that was coming out of Washington at that time, which is something we're still dealing with,
was a Muslim ban. And I just remember how that made me feel, and I'm someone who, lives here freely and grew up in this country, and just remembered the importance of standing in solidarity with my Muslim brothers and sisters against the ban, yes. And marching with them right down in Copley around this issue, no ban, no wall. And unfortunately, that's still an issue that we have to deal with, where we have someone in Washington who should be leading this country forward, taking us back. But I am encouraged because of what I see in this room. I am encouraged because of our honoree. It was around the same time that I met Deco a year ago, or really got to know Deco. You see, she made history by running for public office. And yes. And she was an example, not only in her community, as a fighter, as someone who came to this country as a refugee at 12 years old, who had to make a way out of no way, as so many of us do. But she also ran an excellent, excellent campaign. And I remember always, as we would encounter each other and learn to build, that we would always say to each other, we would always encourage each other, and we would say, when they go low, we go high. And so it's just quite an honor for me to acknowledge her leadership in our community, to continue to build community with her as an amazing leader, as a mother, as someone who is celebrated in many circles for the work that she's done, certainly in the Somali community. But really, what we're here to do is acknowledge how important that is for the Boston community, and not just Roxbury, and not just the Somali community. So it is just with gratitude, Deco, that I welcome you to come up here. I am just grateful for the woman that you are, the leader that you are, and for your friendship and for the opportunity to build with you. Thank you so much.
I promise I'll be brief because I want to eat. I don't know about you guys, but I've been starving. Salaam alaikum, everyone. May peace be with you. Yes. I am deeply honored to be here and to receive this acknowledgement. Kim, thank you. It means so much to me. This will encourage me to continue the work that I'm doing and to fight for the good things for my beloved city of Boston. Please look at the person next to you and repeat after what I'm going to say. Don't look at me, look at the person next to you. All right, the gift that, is this on? The gift that you have.
The gift that you have.
Becomes the gift to your community.
Becomes the gift for your community.
The gift that you have.
The gift that you have.
Becomes the gift for your humanity.
Becomes the gift for your humanity.
Let's not forget the gift that God given us, and let's use that gift to make Boston better. Thank you.
Marie, can I ask you to come up as well?
Okay. Well, I have the distinct honor and pleasure of presenting to you, for those of you who don't know, and just welcoming our own former senator from the 12th Suffolk District. Now, you know, it's an honor because I could actually say I've known her since she was in the womb. It's true. You know, I've watched her grow up. I have watched her as she went through school, worked with Charlotte Gola Ritchie, became a leader and a force in her own right, lead her home and have children, and developed her own style of leadership, her own sense of self, her own course of action, and how she's engaged. And you know what the most proud moment for me has been watching her lead. Now, if you grew up in Boston in the 70s, to watch this young Haitian American take the mic at the St. Patrick's Day breakfast, right? And the way that she handled it. Now, and it's, you know, and the grace in which she handled it, the way that she embraced everyone who came, and the fact that when you stand in that space, it's not simply about you. It is about the light that you represent for those who didn't even believe. You know how many times folks didn't feel safe to even go there? And now it was really an example of how this city has moved forward, about the grace of us as a people, about acceptance, about courage. It represented so much to have that. And so I am so delighted this evening that I have the distinct honor and pleasure, by the grace of these lovely women, come on now, to invite her to accept this amazing award. And I hope you guys will invite the gentleman who actually did this beautiful work to join you. Because from 4 wonderful women created by an amazing Haitian American here in the city council, from the city at the top of a hill, one more time, the beacon shines. Please put your hands together for Senator Linda Boston. Himself, Joseph Sherry, to please come forward.
So if our artists will indulge us with a couple of words about this incredible work. On behalf of my fellow sisters in service, I'm sure we don't have to make the case any more than the eloquent words by Marie St. Fleur as to why we wanted to capstone and end this event by celebrating Linda Forey, Senator Linda Forey. But we did not want to give her, since we're elected officials ourselves, we did not want to give her a clock or a glass plaque. We wanted to give her something that truly embodied what today's theme is about: the African diaspora and a celebration of Black immigrants, and that includes its artists.
That's right.
And so we wanted to invest in a local artist while offering and saluting our sister in service with a permanent gift. And so I'll bring the artist to the podium for a couple of words to talk about the piece. And then the next voice you hear will be Senator Forey, and then we'll do photos, and then everyone can eat, okay? I think. Oh, we do have a performance. We have a performance. Okay.
Hi, my name is Joseph Sherry. This painting, a year and a half after the 2010 earthquake that devastated Haiti, I visited my homeland. And I was also devastated to see how the rubbles were still there, somewhat undisturbed. As I traveled through the affected areas and cities, everything looked as if the earthquake had happened the day before. But yet, I was still uplifted when I saw women coming together in small groups to sweep the streets of their neighborhoods. So this painting is about the resolve of every one of us to do everything that we can to advance, to improve our lives, no matter what bad situation we are in or facing. So, I thank the counselors selected a most appropriate painting to offer to our senator, not simply because it is my work, but also because it symbolizes the work, the tireless work, the amazing work that Senator Forey has done over the past, 2 decades in public life to sweep away poverty from her district. So as a former constituent of the senator, I lend my voice to that of the city council and to that of the beautiful councilors here to say thank you to my senator.
All right, wow, here we go. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. It is an honor for me to be here with all of you. I want to thank my colleagues and these women for putting together this incredible event. Our City Council President, Andrea Campbell, City Councilor at Large, Ayanna Presley, City Councilor Kim Janey, City Councilor Lydia Edwards, thank you. And to our colleagues, City Councilor Ed Flynn, City Councilor Josh Zakum, and I know City Councilor Matt O'Malley was here. Thank you for being here this evening. I want to thank Marie St. Fleur. My goodness. How do I'm done. Bye, everyone. It's like, really. But I want to thank you, Marie. Really, thank you for being a role model, but for setting the stage and being the first as a Haitian American official to run for office, not just here in Massachusetts, but in the United States. Right. So give it up for Marie St. Fleur, please. Oh, man. Ooh, ooh. Okay, I just want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank the awardees. Thank you for being recognized, and thank you, women, for recognizing them in their work, right? Dr. Bonet, who we've known a long time in Mattapan doing the work of the people. Yvette Modestine, thank you for your artistry and your poetry, for sharing with us today. Dr. Natalicia Tracy, thank you for the work that you're doing with the Brazilian community and letting them know that they belong here in our great state. And to Deco Jabril, you are a powerhouse. And I thank you, and it's awesome. Although you were a quick girl, I know you could have talked more. So I'm just gonna say, no, hey, we all are. But really to set the stage and to uplift the Somalian community, thank you. Because this is what this evening's about. This evening
This evening is about the diaspora and the black immigrants and us celebrating one another, but also celebrating with our partners, our white brothers and sisters, recognizing that we're all immigrants. Right. We all came from somewhere, and your families came somewhere to our great America. And I can tell you I've been blessed for 22 years to serve in public service, and for 13 of those years to be elected. It has been an honor, because as a child of immigrants born and raised in Dorchester, like immigrants who come before us, you leave everything behind. Not speaking English, not knowing this country, but you come and you venture out because you know there's greater opportunity for you and your families and the children you're gonna create. And that's what happened with me. My parents came here from Haiti not speaking a lick of English, but they knew what America was about. And they settled, and they had us. They had their kids, and they said, work hard. And we heard that today. They said, work hard, because we know education is it. Education is a way to lift ourselves out of poverty. Education is a way for us to create a better life than what our parents set the stage for us before. And that's what I did. And so to be able to serve and to live in this great city, and, you know, to raise my family with my husband and my 4 children, but to be the sandwich generation. Even though I have my kids and my husband, my parents are 80. My dad has Alzheimer's. My grandmother's 103. And so I say that because we are a generation and we are an immigrant community in terms of the black immigrant. And how do we care for one another? And how do we put aside the labels? And that was talked about here tonight. That being black, you know, it's when I left as the only black senator in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for 5 years, right? The only one for 5 years. That wasn't really said until I left. Until I left, the article said, oh, wow, Senator Linda Dorsina-Forey is the only black state senator in the Commonwealth. Well, I've been the only black for 5 years, and no one said anything. And so this is where we have to be able, and Marie said this, and, you know, and Modestine said this, is that it doesn't matter if we come from Brazil or from Africa or the Caribbean or African American in this country. We are one people. Amen. And it's important because it's easy to divide us, right? It's easy to divide us because when you say now she's the only black, because folks didn't recognize me on this, that why? Probably because I parle Creole, right? Probably because I speak Creole. Some ka di nou mka parle Creole jodi, I di merci à City Council yo jodi. I di nou merci. Parce que là na City Boston, na City Hall, nous di ko sa ke nap reconnaître immigrants diaspora africain. Nap reconnaître contribution immigrants, communauté immigrants nous fait dans Boston avec les États-Unis. C'est belle bagay luna soya. Belle bagay. All right. It's a good day, right? It's a good thing that we are here today to celebrate. And I say that because this is where the conversation has to start. And not just us as the immigrant and black community and diaspora, yes, because we have to be united. But once we could get past our labels, whether you speak Spanish or Creole or Cape Verdean Creole or whatever language, right? We are all black. And so I say this because when I walk into a room, I recognize that I am a black woman. When I walk into the room, you don't say, oh, wow, Linda's Haitian. No, you see me and you see I'm black. And so that's what you say. And I say that, which is important, because it's recognizing the experience. Not just I stand on my parents' experience. As my dad, who now has Alzheimer's, I'm telling you, but for 4 decades, he cleaned bathrooms at hospitals, at Beth Israel and Children's Hospital. My mom was a home health aide who took care of your loved ones at home to make sure they ate and they were bathed and they were clothed. But they put food on our table and they put us through school. And my faith as being a Catholic grew up in my faith because of my parents. But I say this because it's not just standing on my parents' shoulders, but on the wall, I got to recognize the staff, and y'all recognize staff of your staff, but my staff is here too. And Seferina Muro, my chief of staff, is here. Kecha Nazir Allen, my Constituent Services and Immigration Policy. My former chief of staff, Sean Pierce, is here. Sean's here. And I say this because these are the folks, right? All of your teams is what makes you and builds you up and makes sure that the work gets done. But I say this because in the office that I had in the State House, there was a picture of Rosa Parks sitting on the bus on my wall. Because yes, as a first-generation American of Haitian immigrants, I recognize the African-American struggle. I recognize the struggle of Black Americans here in our great country. And once we're able to do that, and for us to connect as the Black diaspora, the immigrants, to connect as one people, we are going to be able to have this incredible conversation with our partners, who are from Irish descent, who are from Italy, who are from Europe, for us to have courageous conversations. And recognizing that we have to be able to put ourselves in other people's shoes. We put ourselves in other people's shoes because we have children that's coming up tomorrow. And we have to make it better for them. We have to make it better for them. And so I am honored. And I'm going to stop because the food, I'm starving too. I'm starving too, Dico. And so I'm going to wrap up. And I say this because I want us to be able to have the conversation. Because sometimes when race comes up, people are like, God, do we talk about it? No, we should talk about it. When busing comes up, people who don't live here in Boston, they like, oh man, there's Black people in Boston? Yeah, there's Black people in Boston. Come on. This is the place to be. Boston's the best, right? And so, but it's important for us to have the conversation to recognize people's experiences during that time, whether it was a white family or a Black family. Because I can tell you when I was running for state senate and I was on a Black radio station and I was listening to the radio as I drove to Grove Hall, and a woman called the show and she was like, wow, you know what? So I get to the station and Sister Virginia, Grove Hall, was speaking to her and we're talking and she's like, you know what, Linda? Growing up, we had a lot of kids. My parents used to take us to the beach in South Boston. We used to go clamming. On Saturdays and Sundays, we would go look for clams in Southie. And so I said to her, really? I said, were there white families there too? Right? And she was like, yeah. White families were clamming, we were clamming. Were there issues? She's like, no. It was a weekend. People were talking to each other, and conversation was happening, and that's what it was. So as I say this because we have to be able to have the conversation, and it doesn't have to be angry. It doesn't have to be upsetting. It just has to be us willing to listen to someone's experience. And once we listen to that experience where someone can say, you know what, I remember my dad driving through Southie when I was a kid, had my sister Colleen and my brother Franz in the car, and a rock went through the window, right? And they came home really quick. And they're like, oh my goodness, this is what happened. And I'm just like, what? I don't really know. I'm a kid, and everything like that. So here I am, I grow up and I run for, state senate. And I'm like, I'm going to run for, to be state senator, Mattapan, Dorchester, South Boston. My father's like, what? South Boston? Like, what are you talking? I'm like, yeah, Papi, it's changed. Like, it's different. It is a different place, okay? It is not like that anymore. But, but that's the piece, right? Is to be able to sit around the table and have the conversation. But more importantly, it's not just conversation, and I'm going to stop. It's stepping up and responding and taking action when something is said that is not acceptable. When something is said that devalues our values here in our great America. When our government can say things that are off-putting to put down a whole continent or a whole country, we have to respond because this behavior cannot be normalized. We cannot normalize this behavior. But that's just not on the federal side, but it's here too at home. It's here too in your neighborhoods. It's here too in your home and with your friends over dinner. And a friend says something, think it's funny, but it's off-putting. It's a little off-color. Well, that is your responsibility to say, wait up, that's not funny. Hold up, let's back it up. Why did you say that? You know, let's peel back the layers, and this is where conversation happens. Doesn't have to be angry. We can laugh and smile, have drinks, break bread. Doesn't have to be happy. This is how we heal our city. This is how we heal our community and move forward. I want to thank Joseph Sherry for this beautiful painting, because it says, out of destruction, there is beauty. Out of heartache and pain, there is things that are beautiful. Out of tough conversations, we rise on the other side stronger together. So thank you all, and God bless. Love you all.
Everyone, we're almost done. We're almost done. Yeah. So it has been an incredible evening, one of which we've celebrated, we've cried, we've laughed together, and celebrated how we are connected and how we all belong, and certainly belong together. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to recognize two young girls who are going to come here and close our programming out with a wonderful dance. This is, the new name is Too Lit to Quit. And they will be dancing to Freedom by Mary J. Blige.
down to racism. We will not bow down to injustice. We will not bow down to exploitation. I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna stand.
Now this is time for free your mind and your soul. Yo, our story has never been told. Ladies, you got to demand what you want, and what we want is respect, right?
Come and take a walk with me, closer walk with thee, see what only I can see.
Sisters, check this. Watch this.
Turn us loose, set us free from all the chains that bind me. Let us run in our own direction. Let us go, set us free from all this propaganda and lies that your people try to teach us. I know why you would like to bring us down, because we have all the devil on you. You try to tell us that our lives don't mean a thing, but we know so much better, so we're gonna take our freedom.
So give me more room. Deny my opportunity, you in jeopardy. Yo, set me free, don't hinder me, let me be. I'm fighting for freedom, I got the heat in case you need 'em. Straight soldier, ain't nobody told ya.
So that wraps up our program. This is really loud. Thank you guys for coming out this evening. We apologize it went so long, but I think we are all fueled by what we heard tonight. There is food, beverages in the Piemonte room. If you go out this entrance here, staff and team members can direct you to that room. Eat food. Thank you to all our honorees, our keynote speaker, our senator. Thank you to our teams. Thank you to central staff. Thank you to all of my colleagues. And thank you, Councilor Presley, for your leadership and for leading the effort on this and pulling us together. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful night. And every day is Black History Month. Thank you.
Amen.